slowly.
Multitasking.
Yeah, there you go. Let's get this party started, Kevin.
I know.
Kevin, we are getting this party started. Hey, welcome to our YouTube friends and family. Guys, episode 32. This episode is going to be about stress and recovery.
Stress and rest, the different cycles. I was inspired to do this because I've actually just started reading a book called Peak Performance.
Yep.
Written by Steve Magness
One of my old
Brad
trackmates.
Stolberg. And I actually had the pleasure of doing this like cool like weekend boys running trip with Brad this October. We have some mutual friends who ended up on the same weekend run together, and it was just really fun to get to know him better.
Was that the run where you almost died? Was that the one where you got lost? That was it.
It's a lot rosier in my recollection.
I can't recollect.
It's a lot rosier in my recollection. But it was a super fun weekend, and I wanted to read this book. I finally got all my Winston Churchill books done. I'm reading about Winston Churchill for the last like 4 months, which is really cool. So fun to switch it up. But the beginning of this book is all about this cycle of stress and rest that everyone goes through, not only athletes, but also people who work, artists, and I thought it'd be fun to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, totally. Steve Magness, if you guys have not looked him up, let me see if I can throw a little website on there so you can see. Steve was also ran at Rice as a track teammate and has since become, I mean, we kind of have to bow to his praises. I mean, Steve is at the upper echelon of both not just training elite athletes, but in his thinking around how to train athletes. And just think about peak performance here. I'm gonna throw his website up here. We probably should have told him we were gonna talk about him, but there we go. How does that work? So this is Steve's website. I think he's updated this. It looks a lot better than last time I looked at it. Wow. So it's now with a new face to it.
We know something about new websites.
Oh yeah. I've been working day and night. If you guys are in our training club, the training club website, if you've not checked it out in the last 24 hours, is been completely overhauled, which means that our mobile app has also had some upgrades to it.
Yeah.
And it's just easier to use, and we're gonna continue to make improvements because we're not done yet.
Totally.
There's gonna be, just make it easier for people to like modify their own accounts, that sort of thing. It only applies to you if you're in the training club. If you're not in the training club, you should join.
Gotta join.
It's January, guys. This is a time to make commitments.
We did talk about resolutions, last year's resolutions last
How have you been doing on your resolutions?
I think I've been doing okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's early.
I'm doing
It's
awesome.
early. Are you? You doing cooking?
I've been cooking. I've been playing music. I've not been having a lot of fun. I would say that.
It's fair.
But that wasn't part of the goals.
That was having fun was not part of the goals.
I worked through the weekend and I got a lot of stuff done, and
I made some time to learn some new things this week, but I haven't done the instrument thing yet. I want to do that.
Right. Right.
I know. There's always those things.
Guys, Nate is gonna pick up the ukulele.
I'm gonna try, and we're gonna form a band.
Which means that you will hear him play the ukulele on this show in this year.
That's a good goal. Maybe I should like try to like play a song by the middle of the year. I think that'd be cool.
I think he's gonna have to play 3 songs, and
I'm not gonna have to write them. I can't do that.
No, you don't have to write them. That's fine. Oh, guys, click the link below. Nate's got the stuff that we are giving away today.
Yep.
Kind of a really cool. I like this.
Yeah. So we always do our giveaways at the end of the hour if you're just tuning in.
I
let's
kind of
talk about what
this.
these are.
I might have modified what we're giving away.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So we're giving away a stride box. That is for sure.
And guys, this is a subscription box of running goodies, and they include like different bars, different toys, and literally you guys are gonna get this. Some shoelaces are in there, and it's comes at you each and every month, and just like a fun thing to do if you're an active runner, you will go through this easily.
This is not a subscription, you just get the one box and you can always subscribe to it.
Exactly, we're just gonna send you this. And the other thing that's cool is they give you little workout cards with helpful stuff, and we partnered with them and provide some running tips. It's probably a little glary.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me open up this so you can guys see. We can't even see that, can you? There you go.
Oh yeah, here we go. So you can actually see that we have helped them out. There we go, that's a little bit more in focus. But they do some really cool stuff. And all these toys are in here, so I'm gonna send this to a lucky winner at the end of the show. And go check out Stripebox.
So this, we were gonna give away, we had an extra pair of shoe cues, so we met these guys at a race recently, and cool insert for your shoes. It reminds you not to land on your heels. It's just got like a little pad here that kind of gives you the proprioceptive feedback that you don't get through your shoes. But the reason we can't just do it as a normal giveaway is that this is specifically meant for a certain shoe size, which you have to check.
Actually, Craig.
But it's not one size fits all, is it?
It's semi one size fits all.
Yeah.
So we learn as we go. This is upwards of a 10.5 shoe size, but what you can actually do is like cut this.
Yeah.
So you can cut it to fit your shoe.
So this would not fit me because I'm an 11.5.
Bummer, bro.
Yeah, so anyhow, Nate has small feet, and so this is what he,
I have 10.5, that's not small feet.
I have 11.5. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know why everything needs to be a competition, Craig.
I'm on a very big, like, New Year's goal kick, and everything, it's very intense. I feel like this year has started out very intense, not calm at all. Do you feel that way?
We've kind of hit the ground running.
It, like, just,
it's been really good.
All guns blazing.
Well, let's take a moment and say hello to our lovely audience. We have a bunch of people chipping in.
Running Geek Girl, hey! Good to see you back. God, I always forget her real name. I want to say Nicole.
I'm not sure. I whispered that really low.
He whispered Julia. We're live here, so there's no whispering.
Yeah.
I think it's Nicole.
But
we know who you are.
Hold on here. So we have someone, Broncos says, fellas, hello from the North Pole, Alaska. Thanks for all your fantastic content.
Thank you.
That is pretty cool.
Bronco fan, awesome. 007. Alaska Broncos fan, 007.
Lee says, I'm listening from my desk. Please don't tell my boss. That is us. Haley, no worries.
Awesome.
Bernie says, hello from Guatemala. Jerry says, oh God, size matters, folks. Keith Boone says, how do you get into the drawing?
Oh, click the link below.
In the description.
In the description of either Facebook or YouTube, there'll be a description and a link. I hope.
And you'll be able to enter, and there's actually ways to get multiple entries for the thing.
Let's see if this is working.
Let's see here. We have Aloha from Carlos.
Yes, working. Cool.
LT Buck says, hello from Ohio. Believe it or not, it's near 60 degrees here. Great running weather. Well, guys, if you're just signing in,
yes. Welcome,
and let us know where you're signing in.
Yeah, let us know where you're signing in. Questions about stress and running, how you deal with it. We're going to be going through a bunch of questions. We're doing the giveaway we just talked about. The giveaway, you hit the link below. Let's get into some of the questions. I have some questions that we're going to do something a little bit different this week because we're also trying to change things up. We're going to be taking questions from you guys, and while you guys are coming up with your questions, we are going to do something a little different, which is we are going to do.
Ew, there we go.
This is our community site. This is only available to you if you are in the training club. And we have a lot of people that ask questions. So we're gonna go through some of the questions that we have here. For example, Julie Santi Rodriguez says, what is your post-run routine?
That's a good question.
Yeah, what is your post-run routine?
So my post-run routine yesterday was it's actually something I picked up from watching one of Kirk's videos, was to like stop outside, and before I just rush indoors, I loosen up my shoes.
Yep.
I walk. I will then towel Nora off because it's a little muddy these days,
right.
So she gets a little towel treatment. And then I go inside and I take 15 minutes. I finish whatever podcast I'm listening to and I do a few accessory movements. Right now I'm still working on a little calf and ankle strength and balance that is probably a hangover from my 50K race in the fall. So I'm doing some like toe raises, I'm doing some ankle circles, and I'm doing a little bit of core work and just to open up my hips. And I try to do that because if I say I'm gonna do it later, I'm not gonna do it later.
Never works, same here.
So that's my routine.
I have quite a routine, but I have kind of a morning routine. So after I get done working out, whether it's in the gym or running, right now I'm working on pigeon pose. So I'm spending a couple minutes in that. Very painful. I use...
That's a great one to do after you've run because you're already warm.
Yeah, I agree. I use a little yoga block and I put that under my butt because I'm not flexible enough to actually sit in a full like pigeon pose. And then I use either this, which is our CTM band from the Run Experience. You can look at CTM.band if you want to get one of these. But I wrap my calves, and I'm having problems with my lower calf on my right side. So I give a little compression wrap. Then I go through a series of
things just to open up your cancel.
Yep.
I'm kind of doing the same thing. That's really cool. And what's great about that, guys, is that is part of our stress and rest cycle. So we've just stressed ourselves with a run.
Yep.
We can immediately start to recover. And the other thing too, like mentally, I think one of the things I've been trying to work on this week is to carve out a little bit more like space in the day for my brain not to be immediately going to the next thing. So it's nice with that 15 minutes. I have that cool down from the run.
I really love that you brought that up. I was about to say something very specific.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
And I just feel like it's a nice transition to back to email or back to whatever.
So you guys may know this because I mentioned it, but I wouldn't say I'm into meditation. Would you say that? I participate in the act of meditation.
Okay.
And so the way that works for me is that every morning I will meditate for about 15 minutes. Usually only during the week. On the weekend it's variable whether I do it or not. But what I've been trying to do is bring that, meditations is a kind of like, you know, you're supposed to bring it into your normal life. And so the idea of that is like, how present can I be? And so during my 15 minutes of stretching, and also I've been trying to do it during my workout, which is I try to focus on like, how much can I be here right now? Not thinking, because it's so easy to get into my head about like thinking about work or thinking about, you know, something happened last night or whatever it is. And I try to keep reminding myself, and it's very similar to like when I'm meditating, to remind myself of the breath. And so I have been doing that consistently now for about a week or two, of bringing it really, I mean, I've been meditating for a long time, but bringing that into my workout.
Interesting.
And I find that it's like, it's kind of like, it's funny, it kind of feels like I'm doing two things at once, because it feels like I'm meditating and I'm doing the activity. But realistically, what I'm really doing is I'm just with the, like, I'm in the gym and I'm just in the gym. I'm not in the gym thinking about work. I'm not in the gym thinking about, and granted, just like meditation, like it's a struggle to do this just constantly. But I find this,
You know what's interesting? Actually, I was just doing the Headspace. I follow the Headspace app, if you guys are familiar with that. And sometimes I only go through a little 5-minute meditation, because that's sometimes the time that I feel like I have to spare, which is kind of sad. But I do the 5 minutes. And in the last one I did, one of the things that he mentioned, Andy mentioned, the guy who leads, was basically saying how we have this notion of unplugging reverse. A lot of times we see as unplugging as a good thing, like unplugging from work, unplugging from technology. And what he's trying to say is that meditation is actually not an unplugging thing, in that you're not trying to escape from things, but you're actually trying to plug in and really be aware of where you are in the moment.
Plug into actual reality.
And what was interesting was that all of the work we do sometimes to a certain degree online or with our phones, that pulls us out of the present moment reality, and in a way, is the actual unplugging. That's not good. Kind of interesting.
So I went to, every Wednesday I go to a meditation class with my teacher, and once a year I actually do a week-long meditation retreat with him. And so yesterday he had this really great point about when we're talking about stress, and we're talking about how, like, what does meditation actually do? Because a lot of us have gotten into meditation from a stress relief perspective, but you know, his point of it is that it goes much deeper. And so what he was saying was that, you know, awareness or being present is this idea of like, okay, the way I think about it is, am I in the movie where like all the things that might be scary in the movie or might cause me fear or anxiety are actually causing me fear or anxiety? Or can I every so often like be aware that I'm watching a movie as opposed to being in it? And I like the analogy of a movie, because it's kind of like, you know, if you're ever in a theater and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm watching a movie, you know, it changes your experience of it. And so you know, one of the things that he said was really, really interesting, is that those voices in your head that are kind of like, you know, I'm not good enough, I'm not, you know, I'm not fit enough, I'm not strong enough, I suck at this thing. You know, we, in our head, because our attention is moving around all the time, when our attention focuses on that idea, it feels like, hey, I'm always like that. I'm always thinking like, I'm not good enough. And then you start to think, I am actually not good enough. And what he said is, when you're not thinking about those things, they don't exist. So the way to think about this is like, let's say I'm walking down the street and I start to get into this pattern of, man, like, I'm really not like in shape enough right now. And I start thinking that. What he was saying is, when you become more present, you start to realize that that voice that came in your head, it doesn't go away, but you start to realize that, hey, here comes that voice. And you're like looking at it, you're like, oh.
You just notice it.
You notice it, and then you also start to notice that it's not around all the time. Yep. It only happened on that one corner of the street while I was walking. It's not around 24 hours a day. And as that kind of perception starts to persist, you realize, well, this isn't actually part of me. It's just something that happens all the time. Like it happens every so often that I walk down the street, I start to think that I'm not fit enough. But it's not something that I am, and it's not even something that is around all the time. I don't know, I thought that was a really interesting concept, specifically around, you know, thinking like, oh man, I'm so stressed out, I'm so stressed out.
Yeah.
And there are times when you're not thinking that, and when you're not thinking that, that is not a thing.
You know, I was feeling like, we just had a call earlier today, and I was feeling a little stressed after all these things we needed to do.
Yep.
And I took a couple of minutes to boil some water, and I washed your dishes. But I did that more selfishly because it was a moment to like do something with my hands and kind of clear my brain a little bit and be like, what do I need to do next?
Yeah.
But I don't know if you found this, but what's interesting, guys, as we're talking about stress and rest today, that's the main theme. You guys may find that if you were super stressed out about, you know, something happening with your family or work, like that also affects you physically.
Yeah.
Like that could even affect your workout the next day or a race. And so I found that not only am I trying to sort of find strategies this year that's going to help from a mental component just through the day, but I also know that's going to help my running, which is kind of cool.
So I have a note on that. So in a previous life, I used to work for a professor named Dan Ariely. He is a behavioral economist at Duke, and Dan...
Behavioral economist.
Yes, so that means basically the study of how people make decisions.
This is cool because like one of the original prevailing economic theories, and I think this is Adam Smith, is that we all respond rationally to things and we make logical decisions.
Right.
When in reality, that may not be the case.
Right, absolutely not, yeah. And so one of the things that I learned from him, and it's very related to what you're talking about in terms of like, hey, when, you know, is my workout affecting my work? Is my work affecting my home life? What he found is that, you know, a lot of times, this goes back to our resolutions. What we found is that, think of like the amount of effort you have. I'm using effort as like a pseudonym here, but if you need to put a lot of effort into going running in the morning, you are using up part of like your effort battery. And what the research shows, I'm trying to bring up a picture of this book because this book is like the seminal book on here it is.
Yeah.
On this sort of, here, this Thinking Fast and Slow. I don't know, can you guys see that? This book is, it's a long book, I'm not gonna lie, but it has amazing, amazing insights into this type of behavior. And what it says is that your battery on effort is the same, you only have one battery. You don't have like a workout battery and then an intellect battery for work and then an emotional battery for your home life and your relationships. It's all one battery. So if what they did is they would test people by saying, hey, squeeze this grip, like a physical thing, and then do this math problem. Or do this math problem for a while and then squeeze the grip. And what they found was that crazy stuff, like if you were spending a lot of energy into squeezing this grip or exerting physical energy like going running, you have less of your battery to exert on an intellectual problem. And so basically like what it says is, instead of trying to make yourself more motivated to like be stronger and like try harder, really what you need to do is design your life so that you're not using your battery unnecessarily.
That is interesting, but we also know that like running and doing stuff also helps give us more energy throughout the day. So so maybe it's like not doing them next to each other, like what?
So this is an interesting concept. So if you think about a workout, right? Like there are a lot of times you go out and you'll do a workout and you just go, like I'll go running for 8 miles and I'll just be kind of like zoned out.
Yeah.
And because I'm in the habit of running, this is why running is a hard habit to start, but once you start it, it's a lot easier. When you start out, you're like exerting all the effort. I have to get out the door, I have to put on my shoes, I have to like carve time out. I'm like, oh God, I'm tired, and it's a lot of effort. But as you get in the habit of it, it ends up being less and less. So for me to go to the gym in the morning, not a problem at all. It's part of my habit. I don't spend hardly any energy. Now, I am spending physical energy there, right? And that it does cost me in my battery, but it's not it's not necessarily as much as somebody who's just starting working it out. And so I think of it as like there are things I want to spend my time on, and of course like the fact that I'm in shape gives me energy as well, right? Like I'm physically more fit. I can take on. So there's a lot of benefits to that.
So I'm posting this question right now, both in Facebook and YouTube, as we're talking stress and rest today. What things stress you guys out, and what, if any, strategies you guys have to fight it? And if you don't have strategies, put that in there too. Maybe we can pick a few and brainstorm this thing and together.
Getting injured for me is a big one.
Yeah, that's a big stressful moment.
Anytime injured, like I have like a little thing in my ankle, not ankle, my lower calf from that 50K race, and it's been bothering me, and it like stresses me out just because I have to constantly work on it. And
sometimes expectation. Sometimes with stress, I always feel like there's a fear component and there's an expectation component, because usually I realize that stress, if you know something really bad is about to happen, like it may not stress you, maybe still stressful, but not as stressful because you expected it. I think sometimes when you're caught out, that can be. But I also think what's interesting when we talk about the mental and the physical, this is important to have these cycles. If you follow any of our training programs, like our marathon program in the training club, you'll notice that we follow a 3-week build and a 1-week recover, where there is less running volume and less intensity. And that idea is that we can't just systematically do this and expect to get better. Our body's just going to break down.
The stimulus and recovery.
Exactly. But what's also interesting is that mentally, there's a component of that too. So maybe every 4th week we should take a vacation.
In Steve's book, he talks about how he trains his athletes at the University of Houston by giving them mental problems. Like when they finish their like interval, he'll flash like the color, like a word that says blue, but it'll be in the color red. The printing will be in the color red, and he'll make people tell him like, "Hey, what color is this? What color is this?" And it'll basically tax their mind, and he helps train them mentally to perform when they're tired. And it's really an amazing methodology.
What's also amazing about stress, and we're gonna get some questions here that I want to get to, that we have ability to compensate and handle more. So what may have stressed us out as a runner, that initial 5-mile run as I start to get in shape, doesn't stress me anymore. I can do the 10-mile run. I can do the 15. I think mentally we can handle more complex things. Carrie says, what stresses her out is trying to meet others' expectations is a huge stress for me. When I keep expectations on a reality check, it helps me. What's interesting about this, Carrie, is that it might not be others' expectations. It might be your perception of their expectations of you, which is really your expectations for yourself in a certain way.
My meditation teacher has this idea, like, he's always talking about how like the future is not a real thing. Like when you think about the future, it is like the only thing that's very, and this is a very like meditation philosophy, and you can buy into it as much as it helps you. But this idea that like when I stress about the future, like you're talking about how if we perceive something in the future and we expect it, like maybe it'll surprise us less. But I also think like most of our stress comes from trying to perceive whether there's something happening in the future. Like it's the idea of my head being in the future of
not
like
being here.
And not being like, okay, this is what's happening right now, that gets me stressed out. And I'm totally guilty of this. And so from a meditation perspective, it's like the more you tend toward your mind as like how much can I be present, right? As opposed to worrying about the future, the less you are worried about this fictional thing that happens in the future, as opposed to like, is something happening? Am I in pain right now? Or am I in pain because I'm imagining the future?
That is interesting. Brent says, over 20 surgeries in the past 7 years with my middle son. That would be stressful. And I imagine running and meditation are things that have been helping you.
Wow.
Brent, thanks for sharing that. My goodness.
Appreciate that.
Amanda says, after a horrible year last year, cancer, death of both parents, my goodness, I'm so sorry, Amanda. I took up running so slowly. My doctors have been delighted with how it's helped manage my stress, grief, and recovery. I feel great.
That's amazing.
Amanda, did your doctors recommend running for you? And also, when they talked about stress, were they like measuring anything? Did they notice like hormone levels or cortisone levels? Did you go in with a problem? I'm just totally curious if you don't mind sharing. And then, how you ended up finding running. Because obviously what's interesting and somewhat counterintuitive is that we're using running, which is a physical stressor on the body, to help offset and balance the mental stressors.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. I think running, I mean, for me, it has always been the stress relief because it's a constant in my life.
Yeah.
When it got taken away from me, which is when I met you, and I was not running anymore because I was injured.
Yeah.
I really had a hard time just with dealing with my life and emotions because I had always had this thing for the last 15, 20 years. And meditation has actually helped me not rely on my running as the only thing that I have.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Because that is stressful, and that happens with elite runners. When you put all the eggs in that basket and that goes away, that is, you don't want to be around them. They're not very fun.
I think running is a great, great, great thing, and it's amazing. I think that when you deal with injuries on and off, especially when you're going for performance and stuff, you know, there is a counter side to that, which is, you know, we can try to be as in control of our running as possible, but it's a physical body thing. Like,
totally.
There are times when we're not in 100% control. So something happens, you twist an ankle, whatever it is. And so it's nice to have some sense of calm that comes from a place that is
like that.
Less movable.
I'm going to do a few questions from Facebook or comments that are coming in.
Awesome.
Guys, if you're just tuning in, we were talking about stress and rest. We have an awesome giveaway. We're going to keep giving away this beautiful Stride box full of lovely goodies, and you can enter by hitting the Gleam link in the description.
Yep. And
we will be doing the drawing at the end of the hour. So Scooby, Jonathan Scooby Bola,
which I think name. Scooby Runner, are you? I think you should be one of our sponsored athletes. Like, I think you got the official invitation, right?
I think so.
So guys, if you don't know, we have a select group of athletes that we have chosen to be our sponsored athletes in 2018, which afford them a number of benefits. And we are still choosing people. It's going to be a little bit of a rolling thing just because the amount of resources we have. But we have co-sponsors of cool brands that are going to be co-sponsoring these athletes with us and handing out content, which means also, cool thing, is that when brands choose to be a co-sponsor, they are also going to be helping sponsor this live show, and we'll be handing out more goodies coming from these co-sponsored brands. So one brand, for example, we're talking to is Gooder Glasses.
Yeah.
Yep.
We like them.
A couple running shoe companies, and then of course sponsored athletes. So actually, if you guys have other people that you follow online, either Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, whatever it is, that you really like, you feel like they are enthusiasts and really people that you respect from a running perspective, in one way or another, we would love to hear who they are, because we're looking for people that we want to partner with and basically provide support to, and just, you know, be in touch with.
Okay. Yeah. Can I go back to my questions and comments over here?
Yeah, I just saw Scooby's name and I was just kind of like, whatever.
And he just wanted to run with it. We just talked about this before we started. We literally just talked about not going too randomly.
Yeah, we have a tendency to go off on random topics. Like, for example, I have this green drink.
Oh my God, keep killing me. Anyway, getting back to our topic at hand, Jonathan says you can laugh at this about what stresses you guys out, but this is true. When I run on busy streets, traffic is what stresses me out. I totally get that, especially if you're dodging cars or bicycles or people. And he says, I've learned to carry a stick and everyone gives me space, then I'm stress-free.
Wow, like metaphorical or a
follow-up question? Do you just find a stick on the ground, or have you have like something that's like made with like hand grips?
I wouldn't want hand grips. I would just want like the slightest like little
like a
track
skull
spike,
and crossbone,
like a little track spike that like if somebody just gets me.
Is it like carbon fiber? You know that you can go
put a ding in the car.
Amelie says from Facebook, great topic on stress. I very frequently get injured when I'm stressed for a long period. I definitely get that. I make sure I roll out and get regular massages if possible to help relieve my fascia, which usually gets tight when I'm in this frame of mind. So you're basically saying when you're kind of mentally stressed, you notice more injuries. You know, that's really interesting. You know, sometimes when we're there, we're not sleeping as well. We are shortcutting things that are good for us, like hydration, and even the mobility and injury prevention yourself. So that's really good awareness. I think we're all there. And I think what's nice is that the injury prevention stuff can feel stressful because it can feel like an additional thing. But as we like to say around here, Netflix and mobilize, like take that time that maybe you're chilling at the end of the night, reading a book, listening to something, watching something, and just be on a roller or get into a stretch. And if I can do that enough, I don't have to expend any mental willpower to do it because I just do it all the time. You're really fighting the urge to go
No,
in
no,
some
it's
direction.
just the Netflix immobilized thing always cracks me up because Nate came up with this phrase, Netflix immobilized, and you know where that phrase comes from, right? From Netflix
I know.
and chill. Okay.
Yeah.
Just to make sure. Okay, cool.
I've been married, but I still
That's
pay
what I'm saying.
attention to
He's been married for so long. I was like, do you know that Netflix and chill is a synonym for sex? I don't know. I'm like, okay. I didn't.
Craig.
All right.
Craig. Oh my God. Back to questions on YouTube. Richard says, hey, someone else runs with a stick to help keep people at bay. Nice.
Wow.
Edward says, Amanda, that's a fabulous story. Thanks
I agree,
for sharing.
Amanda. Appreciate that.
Brent says, trying to get my son a wheelchair that I can push while running. Anyone have advice on running with pushing a wheelchair?
I mean, I'm sure that there are solutions. I've not really looked into them. Because there's wheelchair racers that are for people who are, but those aren't good pushers. And then of course there's strollers that are meant for smaller humans.
Yeah.
I imagine that there are, but I don't actually have any advice. I'd have to look into it, same as you.
A few follow-up comments from some of our earlier questions. Amanda's following up when we asked her like why she got into running after doctors. And she said the running was suggested by one of the doctors for bone strength after the cancer. That is, that's pretty cool. I mean, not obviously the running part is what I'm talking about. But it has also stabilized my blood pressure and eating. I had to eat well to run and general self-care in tough times. You know, that is interesting when we embark on physically demanding things, like everything starts to get in line, right? We start to take care of ourselves from a nutrition standpoint,
Agreed.
which is super cool. Carlos says a few interesting things. One tool concept that I use that works for me is the concept of circle of concerns and circle influence.
Oh, interesting.
I feel like we've used circle a few times. That's kind of up your alley.
Yeah.
And I always try to keep my circles of influence larger than the concern. I think about both. With the circle of concern, does it matter in a day, a week, and 5 years? The influence by expanding skill set, knowledge, network, connection. These are from Stephen Covey concepts.
Covey, yeah. You know, I've heard of this before. This is kind of like the idea of.
I'm not able to follow. So appreciate that, Carlos. I'm not fully able to follow. I kind of know what you're saying, but not fully
I think I
able
get
to follow.
it. What I understand, Carlos, is that you're trying to focus on things you can change. Like, what's that popular adage? Like, let me focus on the things that I can and know that. Focus on things that I can change and then know the difference in things that I can't change.
Yep.
Right. That sort of idea of like, okay, if your focus of concerns is smaller than your focus of influence, you're only concerned about things that you can actually change, which I think is a great, a great way to think about it.
That's super cool. You guys, this is such a great conversation. If you're just tuning in, we were asking what stresses you out and what are some things you do to fix it, and we're just talking about it a little bit.
You said Stephen Covey, didn't you?
I did. I don't know.
Stephen Covey, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People.
I haven't read that.
Oh, well, he reads a lot more than I do, so it's actually something that you haven't read it.
I know. Jillian says, trying to find this back on Facebook, trying to find the balance between running and rest days. I want to run more, but I don't want to get injured. I definitely hear you there. Make sure the rest days are guilt-free. Don't be like, you earn it, and it's actually the day that you get stronger. So investing in understanding the science of why we need to recover is so good. And for those of you guys who are into running the year, that puts a big stress to keep certain weekly mileage.
What does that mean?
Running the year is, in 2018, I'm going to run 2,018 kilometers or miles. It's a big ask. Like, make sure that I'm not running the same mileage each week, but I'm letting myself have those dips.
Yeah. Or just wait until December and do all long runs.
Yeah, exactly, right? Jennifer says, running helps to relieve my daily mental stressors. However, I find I create stress for myself when in a race, I set an expectation for myself, and then when I don't see myself meeting it, for whatever reason, physical, environmental, I get stressed and find that makes me run even worse.
How do you get out of your head when you're in a race?
Exactly, which then makes me more stressed and perpetuates the vicious cycle. How do you get out of your own head while in a race? That's really good.
So I have a particular thing that I do in races. I had a really hard time at this in the 50K. Because in the 50K, so
guys, we ran a hard 50K in November right before Thanksgiving with a whole lot of vert.
So I have a particular mental model in my head that I've had since I was probably in high school, early high school. And I don't know where this came from, but like you know, like before a race, I would start to feel a little afraid. I would just be like, my attention's everywhere. I'm like nervous. I'm like sweating. I'm like, you know, anxious. And I started to feel like it was like, I think of it as like a really fine meshed like steel wool. And it's like frayed everywhere. And in my mind, when I'm breathing during my warm up and when I'm getting ready to race, like I think about like, it's a mental picture, that's it. A mental picture of condensing it down, and I want to get it down to be like a steel bearing. And when it's smooth and like, and for me, it's just a mental picture of how am I feeling during the race. And as I breathe, I'm kind of like breathe into this idea of like getting down. And for me, just working with this idea gives me someplace to put my attention as opposed to just like, I need to calm down, and breathing, whatever. And so I've always worked with this one picture in my head. And once I'm in a race, usually I can keep focused. And if I ever pop out of the race and I'm kind of like, oh man, I get a little disoriented, I go back to this thing of like, okay, I need to get this ball down again. And it focuses the 50K was way too long of a race for me in terms of like, I could not keep, as soon as I start walking, I start to feel like I'm on like a hike, and then like my model goes away.
Well, and the other thing was like we had a super busy week going into the race. Yeah. We had our stressors, so we kind of went into the race not as fresh as we could be.
It was a tough race for me because of that. But I in terms of like, how do you get out of your own head? I mean, I can't say this will work for everybody, but my personal thing is figure out what, like, instead of saying I'm not going to focus on things, for me it's about focusing on something. And so I picked this model, and I'm like, okay, this is my model.
So Jennifer, I have some thoughts for you too, as well as for any of you who are in the middle of the race and you start talking negatively and getting into a self-talk. First, with preparation going into the race, it's really healthy to have not only your A goal, like if everything goes right, this is my race, but a B and a C goal as well. And you could think of a B goal as in, okay, some things start to happen, and this is how I'm going to deal with it, and this is what I'd like to see happen. And then a C goal is the same thing with more bad stuff happening, and you can kind of jump from one to the next. But because you've still set it as a goal, it shouldn't feel disappointing. Yeah. The other thing that's really important is that there is a physiological component to your mental self-talk. We've all heard the word hangry, right? We don't just get angry for no reason. We're angry because we get really hungry, and a lot of times there's a big drop in blood sugar, and we're out of it. We're in a bad mood. So a lot of times, you know, go through that checklist in your head. It's like, okay, I'm starting to talk negatively to myself, but it actually might not be about that. Like maybe I need a snack. Yeah. Maybe I need to drink something. Maybe I need to adjust my pace. And especially with longer races, guys, like a half marathon, a marathon, any ultra race, triathlons, they are too long for nothing to go wrong. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Totally agree.
Like you're gonna swallow a bug, you're gonna drop your gel, someone is gonna kick you, like something's gonna happen. Hopefully it's not bad. Yep. But if you to kind of put that into your brain beforehand, you know, when it happens, you're like, okay, this is the bad thing that was gonna happen today. I'm ready to deal with it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I like that stuff.
Look, I have not interrupted you.
You really didn't. I was impressed. I was like, I don't think I've been allowed to talk this long uninterrupted on our live show.
That's so bad.
This is so amazing.
What does it say about me?
Oh, it's so good. So we got a few more things from YouTube, and I'm going back and forth here. Iso says, I get stressed at the thought of homework, which I solve by watching Game of Thrones.
Solve the stress, but not the homework. Okay,
exactly.
Okay, cool.
I find running first thing out of bed is the easiest since I don't have to think about it.
I agree with that 100%.
Totally.
Yeah.
One thing, and this is LT Bucks, one thing that stresses me out is keeping a healthy diet. I exercise, run often, but find it difficult and expensive to eat healthy. Yeah. We're actually doing a nutrition challenge in our training club starting on Sunday. Yeah. So LT, jump in there and we show you how to layer on habits so it doesn't have to be that hard. We can show you different ways to shop more healthy, but it doesn't have to be as expensive as you think.
I'm looking forward to this nutrition challenge, guys. It's gonna be 30 days, and like our philosophy on nutrition is always build habits, don't do diets.
Exactly.
And it starts on Sunday. I'm fully in on this one. Yeah. I've been doing no sugar since you started our no sugar diet.
Yeah.
Crazy. I think I told you guys this last week. Or January 4th or whatever it was. We had a team call, and we were talking about the nutrition challenge starting soon with our team, and Nate's like, all right, no sugar starting now. And I didn't know he was kidding, so I have had no sugar since then.
I love that. Running Geek Girl, and I totally subscribe to this as well. Sometimes doing nothing is as stressful as doing too much. I have trouble with it, but meditation is helpful.
I love to hear that you guys are meditating as well.
It's so cool.
I feel less alone in that idea.
You know, but it's like, it's so hard. Like, there are times where if I've like going right into vacation and I've just been going a million miles an hour and I just stop, like it feels super disorienting. Yeah. This last weekend, my wife and I had like a super chill weekend. We like didn't plan anything socially. We were like, we're gonna travel, and like I was getting like itchy. I was like just kind of like itchy towards the end because it was so nothing, but just learning to be present there. I'm gonna get some more questions, guys. If you're just tuning in, we are giving away a Stride box at the end of the hour. In fact, this specific Stride box, it is chock full of running goodies. All you need to do to get in is hit
auto
the
white balance on.
I might have auto white balance on.
Oh, so if you take the white away, you go back into interesting.
Well, we have, you know, we've got chocolate milk.
What happens
over here.
if I go away?
It gets lighter. Anyway,
you know what? It gets lighter when I'm here.
It gets lighter when you're here.
Oh look! Oh, you put the box out again. Yeah.
To enter and get this, guys, hit the Gleam link down below. We're gonna do the drawing in 15 minutes or so.
Yeah. Well, let us know how you guys like this format. We are doing a little bit different now in terms of not bopping around like we normally are. I have a question from our community. Amy Vanderkamp says, does anybody feel like foam rolling is a form of torture? I used to. I like the pain now.
Let me see here. There's a bunch of comments we should read some.
Oh yeah, okay, let's see. So guys, this is from our community page, which people who have the training club have access to, where our coaches kind of jump in and answer questions. Some say yes. So good. I don't do it very often. Oh, Tasty, you need to do it more often. I call my roller my personal torture device. That sounds like he's kind of liking it though.
I think so.
Or Jennifer's kind of liking it. Rolling my plantar fascia is 100% torture. I agree. Plantar fascia is, I do consider that to be a little bit torturous. It's for the greater good, yes, but it works. Basically, everybody is saying that it's painful. You know, there's good pain, there's bad pain. I'm gonna just pop that in there.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that the foam rolling thing is always a hard, painful thing. You know what's interesting, guys? Anytime we adopt something new, there is gonna be some short-term pain, but knowing that once you commit to it for a little while, it just becomes part of your day, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, I wake up too dang early, a couple days a week. 4:17 is when my alarm goes off.
Damn, yo,
it's early, and I don't like it, but there's a few things that are helpful. One, I've done it for a couple years. My wife and I, the whole house wakes up that time, so that's easier.
Why is 4:17? Why not 4:15, 4:20?
Because 4:20 is too late and 4:15 feels too early.
Oh, that is having it down.
That is mental. That is like, I can hit the snooze button and don't feel rushed.
You know, what we have coming toward us, which is going to be interesting, is our Whoop bands.
I don't know what those are.
I will show you. Are you ready? Do you guys know what? I just discovered this over the break. My friend had one of these, and we are going to be reviewing it. A Whoop band. I bet Edward has heard of this. Is he on there?
He is.
Edward is the newest member of our team and is always up on stuff like this. But if you have not heard about it, Edward, I am really happy to be ahead of you for once.
Oh, hey-o.
Okay, so this, oh, that's not good.
So this is tying into our talk on mobility and stress?
Yeah, because it measures your heart rate variability.
Ah.
Hey, you thought I was varying off. Did you see that?
I did.
I got you. So heart rate variability is basically, it's how variable your heart rate is. And actually what you want is your heart rate to be highly variable depending, like basically stress, when you're really stressed out, your heart rate does not vary according to stimulus. So like if something happens, your heart rate takes a while to kind of like lag. Yeah. And so you want your heart rate variability to be very adaptive to the environment. You don't need to know all that. What this device and a lot of other devices do, but this one very specifically is targeted at athletes, is trying to see like how stressed out are you during the day, both from like your workout and also from, and are you recuperating with enough rest?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I thought it was a really interesting concept. There are very few devices that are really that focused on specific specifically heart rate variability. What they always give you is your heart rate, which as a snapshot it can give you some information, but it's not as good. And so we contacted them, and it's not a cheap solution. I think it goes for like 400, 500 bucks.
No way.
And so we're gonna try it out, and
oh, I'm excited now.
Yeah.
I think this is the first I've heard of this.
We're gonna do a full review. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that.
So yeah. So did that fit within your guidelines of what I'm allowed to talk about? Okay, good. Appreciate that.
He feels harnest.
I feel restrained. I'm like a stallion.
You're a stallion that wants to gallop free.
Just drank my green smoothie. I want to talk about it.
Troy chimes in, says, my stress increases as my to-do list gets longer.
Yep.
We definitely know how that rolls. Running helps relieve that stress, at least for a while. Elizabeth says, the only time foam rolling is torture is during quad IT band rolling. I hear that.
That also is, that's pretty bad.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
Tone says, when I'm stressed, I like to go to the grocery store, buy something fresh, and go back home and cook something new.
Oh.
You know, Tony, I love, like, some people, like, cooking at the end of the day is this arduous task. And maybe if it's new, it can be that way. I love doing it. And I'm not saying that because of anything particularly special. I have a little strategy with it, but like it gets me off of my phone and off my computer and work, and it's like my way of like scrubbing the day to finish. The thing I do is like I like to think we cook tasty things, but it's relatively boring, and that we cook kind of similar things each week, and so that I don't have to spend a lot of energy like going through new recipes every single weeknight. Even though that's fun to do every once in a while, it's nice to know that on Tuesday nights I make some form of chili night. Chili night.
You know why? Because on Wednesday it usually has chili.
I know, it's true. And then I've got leftovers the next day. I wanted to talk a little bit about phones.
Edward is not up on the Whoop band. That's right.
He doesn't know.
Oh, can't keep up with them all, Edward.
Because it hasn't gotten up to Alaska
Elizabeth
yet.
Day says, is the TRE podcast on Spotify? Funny you should mention that. We actually don't have a podcast. What we've been considering is turning this into a podcast and uploading it, because, you know, as much as we like showing you our faces, so you could listen to this and get a fair amount from it. So what do you guys think about that? Would that be an interesting thing? We have so many ideas if we wanted to put it on.
I know.
Yeah, and Nate's like, there's no more ideas, no more projects.
We got a lot of things, guys. We got to focus because it's hard. There's only so many things we can do. So we're getting some other cool things.
How many of you guys have an Alexa device?
Ooh.
Alexa device meaning that thing that is in your home. Like, I'll tell you. Hold it, ready for this? Alexa, turn on the music. Oh.
The volume is low.
No, Alexa, turn on music on the Everywhere group.
Ooh. We'll see how well this works.
Here we go. Can you guys hear that? Oh god.
Oh jeez. Well, like all technology.
Well,
my future technologist to my left. There is some music playing in the background. Alexa, house lights off. Oh, there we go. You guys didn't see that, but I turned the light off. That's always kind of fun. Anyway, I don't know if that makes me more or less stressed about going with the light switch. You know, I kind of like manually doing things. I don't know if I want robots controlling my
also
house.
live with other people, so like for me, like this would not work. My whole house is connected to this thing. It wouldn't work if I was with somebody else. But for me, like at night, it's very nice to be like, oh, I can like jump in bed and be like, lights off, set the alarm, and I'm done. Yeah, it's something like this. It's just
the clapper.
It's clapper.
The slow clapper. Hey, guys,
where were we going with that? Oh yeah, how many of you guys have an Alexa? Because we want to make a flash briefing. No, not flash. We want to make a hey running tip of the day that you can hear on Alexa.
Oh, that's cool.
I use this. I think it'd be cool, but just an idea.
Just an idea. We're always cooking up. Guys, remember, less than 10 minutes, we are doing our Stride Box giveaway. One of you lucky individuals will get a cool little workout card with some of our tips on it, as well as a bunch of tasty treats. Some cool other little running things that you can immediately use. We are going to send this to you probably this afternoon, because that's when I need to do it. So enter by hitting the Glean link in the description of either the Facebook or YouTube video. Drop your email in there and your follow the little steps. And
is the music on in my room? It is. Is that what it is?
It is.
I can hear it.
Yeah. He's gonna go turn that off. And we'll take a few more questions here on the stress and rest and everything. Aaron says other people, Craig. Let's see here. You guys are jumping in with a bunch of different things.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. Jeff says, thanks for mentioning waking up early as a way to rest and recover or in your weekly rhythm. My best hours are before sunrise, including workouts. Then who else experiences this? Yep. You know, Jeff, I just read something interesting about like the best time of day to do different workouts. And they were saying from a daily management standpoint and a weight or like a fat loss standpoint, working out early is really good to do because a lot of times you're working on a fasted state.
Yep.
You're not full of glycogen yet. But they also said that for going really fast or lifting heavy, waiting till later in the day in the afternoon, you're going to see higher performances.
I totally believe
kind
that's
of an interesting
true.
Mix.
I just decided to stay on the early side.
I like the early side too. It doesn't matter. It's way that better. Running and cycling. Dad says, I'm suffering from posterior tibial tendonitis, which has been horrible. The stress and depression from being able to do long distance run to not being able to has really beat me up mentally.
Could not agree that is a very hard thing to do.
It's really hard.
Yeah. Could not agree with you more. Sorry.
So I want to address the stress side of this, not the technical parts of the injury, which we can help.
Yep.
The worst feeling is when you feel like you have no control over your situation and all of your friends are playing outside and you're stuck inside a recess. Both of those situations suck. So we can actually flip this on its head and get you not only socially working out with other people,
yep,
but also doing other things that you can do so that you feel like you're still a social, physical human being, which is really important. I run a class in San Francisco, for those of you guys around and ever want to jump in, where I work with athletes through their injuries all the time. And I get runners and triathletes in, and I get them lifting weights and doing other types of movement. Even if they're dealing with an injury and they can't run, they can come in there, they can say hi to their friends, and we can also talk about their injury. Oh, if you have this issue, let me show you some mobility exercises to improve it. Let me try to improve your ankles. And then when you go back to running, you're even better.
Yep.
We have programs that you could follow online that would do just those things.
Or work, I mean, this is work on another part of your body, and both from a build it up, like if you want to work on your upper body, that's one way of doing it. I think of it, if I'm injured on my lower body, I work on, if I can work on mobility in that spot to alleviate the injury, awesome, but also like work on your shoulders. Like for me, like right now, the thing that is really, you know, bothering me is that my shoulders dump forward a little bit. Like when and it's because I'm working on a computer all day like this, and I need to be more rotated externally like this. And so I'm working on that, and you know, focus. I said Carlos's thing, focus on things you can control. So focus on a different
swimming, water runs, cycling, rowing, getting into some different style classes. Sounds like you're doing some strength, which is really awesome. And just keep up and know that, you know, your situation is gonna improve.
You're eyeing that giveaway, guys. You have about 1 minute to go click the link and sign up for the Stribox giveaway.
Oh, I love this good photo.
Yeah, I didn't even
actually
look at this before.
That's awesome. That looks good. We're gonna do it, and we're taking a few more comments and questions. Chuck says from Facebook, when my Achilles starts to twinge during my run, I get stressed. I have to focus on breath and foot strike for a few minutes to relax back into the run. For sure, you know, that type of automatic feedback to help you affect your form is really good.
Yeah,
you gonna say something?
No, I was just about the giveaway. Go ahead.
Oh, the other thing I would say, Chuck, is that, you know, if you're dealing with those types of twinges in your run, you are behind the 8 ball a little bit from a mobility and strength perspective. So double down and make sure you're really working on your feet, your calves, and your Achilles. The most dangerous thing is to get used to those twinges to the point where it feels normal, and then you keep running at this low level of irritation, and that builds up to something bigger.
Yeah.
So it's like we want to have a zero tolerance policy for those types of irritation. This is feedback. Something is not totally right. It's great that you can run. It's great that you have some awareness and that you're able to control it, but you haven't solved it yet, right?
And
that's
it's
really,
not going to
really
solve
important.
itself. You have to do something.
No, we need to do something there. So try there, and then that will remove the stress in the long term because you feel like you're in more control of the situation and you can fix it.
It is ironic that we have this phrase, like, you know, like run through it. The phrase of run through it, where we also have this thing where like running is the most injurious sport you can imagine, because 80% of people get people hate when I quote that thing, but large percentages of people are injured in running, and I think this idea of run through it, like, yeah, you can run through it and buffer that for a while, but eventually it comes back.
Yeah, you know, running through fatigue and wanting to stop but continue to push the body, running through acute physical pain that is only going to make it worse. Like, those are two different things.
I have one more question, and I'm going to ask the question before, well, you're going to go, so Nate's going to go and pick up the winner.
Oh yeah, we gotta end the giveaway.
Okay, Win detergent. I want to know if you guys have heard of it. Have you used it? Win detergent.
Oh,
do you know
have.
This? Yeah, I've actually used it as well. It is a detergent that is meant for your sports clothes, and specifically like the Cool Max stuff, because it gets stinky, all that stuff. I am actually talking to the owner and CEO of Win Detergent in about 20 minutes. Okay. And I would just like to know what you guys think of it. Do you like it? I liked it. I don't have a laundry machine in my house anymore, so I don't use it anymore. But
you used to?
Yeah, back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yeah. You're surprised because my stuff still smells, right?
Yeah.
So
no.
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 Yeah, I used to use it because I would put, when I was more diligent, I would put all my running clothes together, and then it was like my running clothes used to, especially when I was like, you know, running, like, it used to get pretty bad. So if you guys have used Win Detergent, or if you have used it,
and it's a little gentler because, you know, it's a little gentler on those types of fabrics.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd like to hear your feedback on it if you have a couple of minutes right now.
Yeah.
But we are going to pick the winner of the Stride box. Oh, and okay, here it is. I was just like, the person who has the best comment on the Win Detergent will win the shoe cue.
Yeah, I like that.
Because the shoe cue is not part of the thing, because we have to choose somebody who actually it fits.
Okay, I like that.
You also preferably would be somebody with a size 10.5 or less shoe.
Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and do the winners.
All right, here we go.
Drawing the winners. It's doing its thing.
Let's do it. Brett Christian.
All right.
Indianola. I didn't know that was a place.
Brett Christian, you are the winner.
Fantastic.
Oh, and he won by subscribing to your other YouTube channel.
Hey, forgot that was in there.
That's all right.
Copy that from last week.
We'll give Craig a little love.
Fantastic.
Indianola, Iowa?
Fantastic.
Is it Iowa?
Iowa, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you are the winner of the Stride box. We will send that over to you.
Well, thank you for subscribing to my other channel. That was I copied the link from last week to this week, but yeah, you will enjoy some negotiation videos on my other YouTube channel.
Hey, and guys, it is 1 o'clock, so thus concludes today's session.
I hope that you enjoyed this format where we took one problem and spent a little bit more time on it, and kind of asked you guys. If you did, you know, you could let us know.
And I hope you guys enjoyed the restrained yet still feisty Craig Dos Santos.
You know, I was told by at least one person that these needed to be enjoyable, like fun, because sometimes I would talk about one thing. I guess that's, you just don't want me to talk as much. Okay, I got it. Got it. Got it.
Should we do the awkward,
the awkward dance? All right, guys, we're doing the awkward closing out video. Sign on again next week, Thursday, 12 o'clock. We do these every week. If you have topics, you can post them in one of our communities. Let us know what you want to hear about. We are here for you. And we really enjoyed doing these. We really enjoyed the interaction. Yeah. So did we hear anything from the Win Detergent? We didn't show. We can't close. We didn't.
We can't close because we haven't talked to anyone. Aaron says, "Let the horse out of his stable, Nate."
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You want the Mustang to fly free?
Brett. Email Nate@therunexperience.com with your physical mailing address, and he will ship that off to you.
Yeah. And again, guys, I know you're signing off. If you have any opinions on the Win Detergent,
we didn't give away the shoes things.
Yeah, we gotta give away shoes, guys.
Okay, if not, Brett, you get both of them.
Yeah.
As long as you're a size 10.5 or under.
Yeah, we'll go ahead.
Maybe nobody's tried it,
maybe no one's tried it, which is just fine. Yeah. Thanks again, everyone. Thanks for sharing everything on what stresses you out. We appreciate it. It's like a good group therapy session.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.
See you next week. This is the time for the awkward show, the awkward dance. It takes me a couple seconds to do this, you know.